Or you could just go full on rock star and just hold it up to your face.
So this is the humble studio.
You're already recording?
It's just, yeah.
All right.
It's just a room. And I got some of this stuff here to put on the walls. Kind of help deflect a little bit. I got some bass traps, but I need more because there's way too much boom in this end. Yeah, that's it.
Welcome to the Sean and Geek podcast. Hey, wearing the
You're wearing your shirt?
horrible swag that faded.
Yeah, I don't think mine even has any writing left on it.
Any writing left? We went through Zazzle, and they were like $45 a shirt.
Oh, no.
And they all faded.
Well, mine's still pristine, though. I wore mine once, and then I took it
Yeah.
off, and then I put it away.
I ordered 12 more shirts. We'll have them before next Sunday.
Okay.
And then we'll see what they look like with the Devine Shirt Company. I'm sure you know who they are.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the studio today, who do we got? Ryan.
Ryan Sorensen from Disraeli Dreamers.
So is it still from Disraeli Dreamers?
It is still from Disraeli.
Is
I know
it?
We've been pretty quiet for the last little while, but we're dipping our toes back into the water. We were working on an album for the longest time.
I know. I heard a lot of those songs.
Yeah, and there's so much material that's just sitting somewhere, and as what happens sometimes, bands disagree on different directions on where they want that sound to go. So we've just been frustratingly arguing with each other for the last little while. So right now we're like, screw it. We're actually just moving in a slightly different direction. We're going to play some just random shows to get ourselves back out there. And we'll see what happens with all this new material.
Oh, I'm excited now.
Sweet.
I'm excited now. I'm really excited. The last show that I saw you guys play was at was the CD or the EP release with Deep Dark Cave and Moontan, which was my first time seeing both those guys.
That was a really good show.
You guys blew everybody away.
All the bands on that bill that night really killed it.
Yeah, everybody killed it. That was my favorite performance of you guys for sure. Because those new songs you guys played that were not on the EP just was like, oh, I don't know. I was really excited to go home and listen to it. It was like, these songs aren't on there. There's not enough. There's only 4 songs.
Oh yeah, so there's a mountain of material somewhere.
Oh, awesome. So I don't know. The reason I wanted you on the show, because I was thinking of asking, I don't know, one of the other guys, but I wanted you because I kind of feel like you're the mastermind.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that fair?
Mastermind.
Yeah. I don't know. You seem to be the voice of the band, but you're also in the scene. You're always doing a lot of stuff. You did some Albert Street stuff.
Yeah, so the Royal Albert is now back in business for the time being. It was super exciting. Got to be involved in being the original booker for the Albert and helping get the place launched, acclimated to the current Winnipeg indie music climate. And then once it was kind of self-running, then I passed it off to somebody else, and yeah.
I think they're booked like all the way through to the end of time.
Right. So
pretty close, right?
But when I handed it off, it was pretty much booked right up until mid-November.
That's awesome. Was that intimidating to book for them? Like just because of the history of the place?
It was an interesting experience because the Albert's been around for a long time, and it's seen different iterations and different genres dominated at different times. So when the word got out that it was coming back, a lot of different eras of musicians reached out to me, making sure that their era was represented predominantly. Friends of this podcast I know in particular were very adamant that this be done properly and put a lot of pressure.
give you a script. Okay, you need to read this. Represent us.
And definitely don't have this band, this band, this band, or this band. There, I bet you there's some of that.
For sure. One of the best pieces of advice I got was, do not make this into another lame rock club. Like, this needs to have its own identity. It needs to recapture a little bit of what it was before, but yet still modernizing it. So it was quite the task.
It's interesting because I think the bands that were booked in there, like that are booked in this round, it's a lot of different types of music, which I'm really excited about. Because I think that's the modern twist you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if it's just all punk and metal or whatever, I don't think that's
it's
going
been a
to
lot
keep
of
it
time
going.
Spent a lot of time there in the 90s, and saw a lot of punk and.
How do we never run into each other there?
You know what? We might have.
Probably
just-
did. We probably slam danced together.
at some point. Yeah, it was mainly death metal and punk that I was seeing there.
Yeah. The first time I saw Propaganda was there.
I just hung out with Night Moves. That was it. Friday nights, it was live on TV. Or on TV, on the
live
radio.
on the radio. And that was
Kiss FM.
Kiss FM.
Well, I remember
Was it 97, 92 back then?
Hey.
Do you remember that?
I think it might have been 92.
Before your time, probably.
Before my
It's just-
time.
the early 90s.
Here's an interesting history lesson on Winnipeg. So we're obviously older than you are. Just a little bit though, like just that much.
Just by hair.
Just by hair, yeah.
Well,
Thanks,
several-
I like it. Great,
several-
thanks, Ryan.
Several gray hairs, actually.
Every Friday they used to be live from Night Moves, and back then it was like I guess early 90s because they just moved back, so like 91, 92. And at the time, this is when Burton Cummings was gigging in the city. He was just randomly showing up at clubs and just performing. So there was a lot of original bands in the city. So they would play one set of original music and then two sets of covers playing at, the various cover places, right? And so on Night Moves on Friday, they would play a whole original set that was recorded live. And it broke a lot of artists back then. So, like, if you wanted to hear original Winnipeg music, you listen to 97 or 92, whatever it was at the time. It was called Kiss FM at the time. It was awesome. I have a bunch of them recorded. I used to, Friday nights, instead of going to the bar, I would actually stay home and hit record on my tape player. And that was good stuff, though.
I probably still have tape somewhere with that on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
I'm telling you, man, we need to put together the website Forgotten Winnipeg and just put up all the old music that.
Yeah. Well, Sam has that going on. He's always asking for old tapes and old demos and stuff. If you go on his website,
Yeah.
you get tons of MP3s there to listen to of old bands from that era.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
cool.
I didn't know you had that.
No, you should check it out. It's awesome.
It's all dated and everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Or it's closest proximity?
Yeah. So, today, what are we talking about? We're going to talk about tribute shows.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down Petty Fest. We're going to talk about, because we'll talk about that one, but we're talking about tribute shows and making sure bands are, how did you phrase it, Ryan?
Fair pay for musicians.
Fair pay for musicians.
Getting paid.
Wait a second, musicians get paid for the music nowadays?
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No.
So, can we talk about the getting paid part first?
Yeah.
So you brought up the topics. I wanted you to bring up the topics. So I'll let you go, and then we'll chime in here.
For sure. So there's been rallying cries in the past while from artists saying that maybe we should unionize or collectively agree that there should be a minimum standard that bars or venues should pay per set. So somewhere
Per set?
Per
Okay,
set.
gotcha.
So somewhere around like the $150 to $250 mark. The logic being that a lot of time and effort, of course, goes into preparing the sets. There's countless hours of practice and
Never mind the writing. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So much time goes into like a simple 45-minute set that the least a venue can do is show their appreciation by having a minimum standard of payment. Traditionally, a lot of places will just do door deals or say, well, you're getting experience by playing in front of our patrons.
Do it for the exposure.
Yeah. Heard that one many times.
Exposure doesn't pay rent or buy groceries.
Nope.
Nope.
So I've been hearing that idea more and more. There's been a lot of like online discussions and like Facebook music groups. Whenever I'm interacting with artists, I hear the topic brought up every now and again. There just seems to be gaining momentum for this concept.
Really? Good.
I think so.
Oh, that's awesome.
So personally, I'm kind of actually against that idea. As an
Being
artist,
paid?
well, I don't like the idea of having that minimum standard.
Minimum standard. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm a business guy, so I believe in bringing your product to the open market and getting paid what the consumer thinks is worth. There's bands that play rooms for like 10 to 20 people, and there's bands that put in a lot of effort and they can play in front of 10 times that many people. Artists tend not to look at the venue perspective. I think if we look at what's happening in Winnipeg right now, like with the Cavern, let's say like the Cavern's moving because they can't afford that space anymore. Other venues in Winnipeg are kind of on life support. The scene just isn't strong enough to support that idea. I think bands really need to put in the effort, do the work, and try to amass that fan base themselves. And whatever they get paid at the door is kind of what they deserve at this point. If the scene was healthier and the venues were like making exponential profit and hoarding it somehow out of greed, for sure I could see the argument. But right now, I think profit's just too razor thin.
So you've been on both sides. So as the booker, I don't know if you get to see the actual books or
for
not.
sure. Yep.
Yeah. So you understand how much the venue's making on it. Like we've played a lot of shows where it was sort of you have to pay for the venue and then you get whatever's left over.
Or they pay you in coffee.
Or they pay you in coffee. Yeah, there's one venue we play, we get paid in coffee and ice
As
cream.
much coffee as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, I drank a lot of coffee.
Yeah,
Stage completely wired.
Yeah, don't drink coffee and then spend all day out in the sun. Your whole body will just lock up.
Yeah, we had
Cramps, leg cramps, and
we had a show where I think we all suffered heat exhaustion. But anyway, sorry. I like what you're saying. So you're attacking it from both sides. You're not just saying we want more money, because I do agree with you on the point that the venue still has to make money, and if they're going to lose money to book you, then they shouldn't be in business at all. If that's all they do is book bands and then pay the bands all the money, and then at the end of the night they can't pay their own staff, like that doesn't work either.
Well, I mean, we can always go back to the example of the Sean Geek favorite band, Threaten.
Jared Threaten, yes.
Yes, just going across the UK playing to completely empty houses.
Yeah, so all those venues lost a lot of money, and of course they're mad. You followed the Jared Threaten thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
so
I think we might have to delve into that after here. Let's keep going with your point. I think we could talk about Jared in this context. I think it might be good.
What's the biggest form of revenue that comes in for things that would not normally? Okay, so first one I can think of is when the internet first started. Okay, how do you make money on the internet? It's through advertisements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sponsorships and whatnot. Why could you not do that because, I mean, I can't go to a movie theater without being plastered with, half an hour worth of advertisements when I've already paid to get in to watch this movie. And we've discussed this before. But why couldn't you do that with bands? Not the bands being sponsored, but the actual, say, the venue itself looks for bands and would sponsor and have their sponsorships plastered everywhere. Because inside the bars, the only sponsors you see is either Coors or Bud or whatever. Like, they got all their signs and whatnot. But why wouldn't you have...
And is that even sponsorship, though? You know, Ryan. Like, if they're plastering signs in the venue, is that actual sponsorship, or are they just trying to sell beer?
No, there is a degree of sponsorship for
Is
sure.
there? Okay.
I don't think any of those contracts are terribly big for the average bar. It's, it'd be insignificant compared to the operating cost.
Yeah, okay.
I think that actually a lot of beer companies just tend to have that stuff, just swag on hand.
Yep.
Hey, you're ordering our stuff. Here's some stuff. Put it up on your walls.
Oh, cool neon sign. Sure, I'll put that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. But it advertises there. You look around. It's like, oh, I don't know what I want today, and you see Coors. It's like, oh, I'll just have a Coors. right? So it's kind of that psychological,
But with the dawn of smartphones, everyone's got their head buried in their in their phone. So I don't think as many people go out to the bars as they used to. I could be wrong. I haven't really been out to the bars, so I don't know what the younger
The only
generation...
time we go to the bars is when we're playing.
Yeah.
Lately.
But I think you're definitely right, and I think if you look at Winnipeg as a model, and you see the quick changeover from bars, like venues pop up, then they disappear right away.
Yeah.
If you look at the current state of like the music venues in town, just from what I know from behind the scenes, like everyone's hurting right now.
I think the Pal's the only place that's ever actually made a run in that venue on Main Street.
Yeah,
I don't think anything's ever lasted more than say about a year there.
Yeah, that's right. The PAL is definitely a Winnipeg Institute, and
Yeah.
I think it'll be around till the end of time.
It's true. Yeah, it's weird. But that's the other thing, too, is I think there's also, another reason that maybe the bars aren't doing as good is, I don't know, maybe it's a generational thing, but I don't know. In the day when we were, that was like 5 years ago, I guess, in the day when we were, anyway, we used to go to the bar and we'd go get, lacquered up, right? But I don't think that's as predominant now because the pricing at bar back in the day when we would go to the bar, they would have draft specials and they would have this special and you could get shots for 50 cents or $1 or $2 or whatever. They don't do that anymore. The regulations have changed. The laws have changed. So you don't get people getting lacquered up at the bar anymore, which means less revenue for the bar itself. So if your draw to bring people to the bar to drink is the band, but everyone's buying 1 or 2 drinks, like how do you make money?
Why people don't go
Right.
out because you can't drink, obviously. Because
But
if you
people
go-
pre-game and then have 2 drinks at the bar, so the bar is still not making money.
Yeah, I was at the Cavern last night, and so I think the most popular drink out of everyone that I saw there was water. And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah.
with drinking and driving laws being a lot more strict in the province right now, you have the check stop that's usually parked right outside Osborne somewhere, just as that deterrent, like, you better not drink and drive, which of course is a good thing. But to your point, I think less money is going into alcohol on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
So it's
So how do they make money? Like, it's almost like maybe there needs to be a reinvention of what the bar does to make money. I know a lot of bars have VLTs, and that's a revenue stream.
Each bar needs their own party bus. How's that? You don't have to worry about drinking. You don't have to worry about... And now that cannabis is legal, everyone's home going, you know what, I don't want to go anywhere, let's just order pizza.
Order pizza and smoke up at home.
And stay at home, yeah. But if they had a party bus, you'd have that option to say, either they would pick you up at home, which I don't know if they would do that. But mind you, if you had to go meet somewhere, that means you actually have to drive. So that kind of defeats the purpose. So if you had the party bus actually show up at your house, get a whole bunch of people together, you don't have to worry about, you go there, drink your face off, they'll drive you home, everything's good.
And actually, just recently, Pallister has announced that he's going to be supporting a new initiative, which is going to probably kill bars even faster, with the change regulations to allow alcohol deliveries, the same way that you can get food delivered.
Oh,
Can't you already for like beer and wine?
For beer and wine, yeah, but now this is going to include hard liquor.
Yep, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
I used to just to call the cab company and get them to deliver alcohol to us, and then they would show up, and then, can I see ID? And it's like, we're 16 or whatever.
There's always been loopholes.
Yeah.
They used to do that back in the day?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah, New Brunswick, yeah.
Oh.
We were like, yeah, I don't know, 16,
Well, we had,
17 years
we had
old.
Howdy Job who lived
Howdy Job.
down the street, the bootlegger.
You have to translate for Ryan. I don't think he knows.
He was a bootlegger. Just we lived on a dirt road. And if you went further down, he had like a camp. And you go there and he had James Reddy and all these Alpine, like all the Eastern beers. And they would charge astronomical amounts.
We lived in Ohio, and his name was Howdy Job, which translated as Ohio of the Devil, or the Devil of Ohio. The Devil of Ohio. Now, there's a name for a band.
Very metal. I love it.
Yeah.
Devil of Ohio.
So I think too, and I noticed like the cover charge at bars too is not very high. Like you got like I don't know how many shows that we played on where there's like 4 or 5, sometimes even more bands, and it's a $10 cover, and even if they sell that club out at $5-10. Like, are they going to sell out? A. B, the bands are going to get paid even less, and no one's really buying alcohol. Like, how? Like, the bus idea is not a bad idea, but at the same time, the prices of the alcohol at the clubs is it's through the roof. Like, the age group that goes to the bar has X amount of disposable income, and they're not going to be able to drink at the bar. So, how do the bars diversify in this new age to make money?
Well, hopefully in the party bus you can drink on your way to the bar, and it being hooked up to the bar, they would also get, it's booze from the bar, so they'd be getting paid.
But now they have to pay money for a bus.
And don't forget, the price of gas is just insane.
Okay, well, diesel bus then.
What do you think, Ryan? I'm curious.
Diesel's worse.
What's your thought on the party bus idea?
The electric party bus.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like the electric company's. What was it called?
The Electric Company, like the TV show?
Yeah, what was it called? The
Magic
Call
School
it the
Bus?
Magic Bus.
I've always been a fan of party buses, so I love this idea very, very much. Yeah, I think in general, venues are just looking at like alternative events to fill up their calendars. So you're seeing a lot of trivia nights, which are popular, and paint nights.
Are you segueing here? Because it looks like you are.
Topics certainly connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the traditional model of bringing bands to fill the club, it doesn't work anymore. To your point earlier, like, will bands even fill a bar at this point? Probably not. There's only a handful of bands in our city right now that could actually fill a club.
Yeah, there's not many. Like, it's a small handful.
But the genres are different now.
Is it?
Like back in the day, classic rock across the board was pretty much the same, just some different sounds. But now there's just so many different.
Well, here's the
types.
interesting thing. Like, back in the day, we were talking about night moves earlier, because this kind of circles around back to that, was they would play 4 sets in the night. And the one set, which was the one that was on the radio, was the original set. So the bands, in order to draw people in, would have to play covers. That was kind of the rule. So you can play 1 set of originals, and then you got to play whatever 2 or 3 sets of covers. Is that the road we need to go? Because we got the other topic was tribute bands or tribute shows.
Yep.
Is that kind of the new model of that? Maybe.
Well, I think right now, when promoters and venues are seeing something that works, I think that's where they're really, really going all in on the concept.
Sure.
So, to your point, original music not doing so well in the city right now, but what is working right now is the rise of the tribute shows and tribute acts.
Mm-hmm. No, you got notes on this. I know you do.
I've come prepared.
I'm actually curious. So, okay, before you talk,
Yep.
I want to do a vote to think. I'm trying to see which side of the fence you're on it. Do you think? Okay, we're gonna go around the table. Do you think Ryan is pro tribute shows or anti tribute shows? Like, where a band will play. Well, we're gonna play 1 set of Soundgarden stuff. We're gonna play 1 set of Tool. We're gonna play 1 set of whatever, the hip.
Let's say pro.
Todd.
Okay, let me get this straight. Now the band is playing only 1 set. They're playing their originals, but they're playing 1 set of actual.
No.
Or
They're
whole
playing
thing's a
all
tribute.
Tool or all Van Halen or all.
I-
It's specifically a show. Hey, it's us playing Van Halen for a set.
I like that idea.
No, but do you think Ryan's gonna be pro or anti? I know which way he is. I can tell.
Well, do I go by his facial expression? Or? I'll say yeah. I could be.
He's
totally
pro. I think he's anti.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan.
The pros have it.
The pros have it. Okay.
Basically, all my projects we're working on right now all have to do with tribute acts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Anything you're allowed to leak at all, or is it still in the planning stages?
It's all in the planning stages right now, but for a pure tribute act, so we're doing a legacy 90s band that hasn't been covered very much in the city, so we're really excited for that one.
Legacy 90s band. Okay, yep.
And our big project that Disraeli's working on right now, we're doing Big Shandy Tunes 1 and 2. So
Oh, right. Yes!
got a lot
I love
of
it.
guests coming, big visual component to it as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Do I need to delay the release of this so I don't screw up any?
That's all right. Let people know it's coming.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, let's hear your take on.
So, just in the past couple of years, tribute shows have quickly emerged as the most dominant and popular form of show. There's a monumental difference in attendance between a band coming to play their original set versus when they do their cover sets. Every venue kind of has a version of it. Like Goodwill's doing their Bands as Band series.
Yep.
Handsome Daughter has the Rockin' Roulette. Village Idiots does this big New Year's show at the Pyramid every year, which sells the Pyramid out, which no local band can do right now. But yet, you do a tribute act tonight, and there you go. Yeah, I won't go over all the band names, but what I did sort of in preparation for this is I took a look at all like the major tribute acts in the city, and I just out of curiosity looked at Facebook, like their event groups for their tribute act versus their last original show, just to see the difference. And
Nice, okay.
yeah, so a band where their average show might attract, say, 150 people into a Facebook event group is attracting 1,000 plus all of a sudden now that it's a tribute show. I personally saw two bands who I adore play a show earlier this year together, and maybe 20, 30 people showed up, and those same two bands did a tribute show at the Park Theater recently, and they sold out the Park Theater. So, from 20 people to like 300.
Wow.
Now, if you go back in the days of, say, Night Moves and whatnot, when they had the live shows, they were all, not tribute shows, but they were all covers.
It was all covers.
Which is pretty much a
which
tribute
you
show,
have
but-
to do for a club. You know which one Night Moves is. It's was it called Cowboys now, or is it called something else? The Windsor Park Inn.
Yeah.
What's it called now?
I think it's Cowboys.
Is it still Cowboys?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, to fill a place that size, because that place is huge, right? To fill a place that size, if you have an original band going in playing all originals,
I mean, unless you're Harlequin or one of those, established
yeah,
bands
yeah.
that have, have stood the test
Smash
of time.
Mouth couldn't even sell out the. Smash Mouth played the, not the Windsor Inn, but the other one. That looks the
Nashville's?
old Diamond Club. Is it called Nashville's now?
I think so.
Yeah, like back in the day, in the '90s, they actually played there and couldn't sell it out. Smash Mouth. I mean, everybody knows Smash Mouth.
Well, now.
But no, back then, this was like after All Star. Well, maybe it wasn't the '90s. It was after they had All Star out, and they had 4 or 5 top 10 singles.
Damn.
Okay, Ryan, go on.
No one was safe.
Sorry, we keep interrupting you.
It's all right. To me, it broaches onto a larger topic, but it's a symptom of the current state of rock music in mainstream right now, which I think everyone can agree is on life support. Mm-hmm. Just look at Billboard, look at Spotify, take a look at how many rock bands are in the top 50. Take legacy bands out of that, and it drops to basically nothing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. And Greta Van Fleet is like the only thing that's remotely, and Tool now, obviously, but
Sure.
that's still kind of a legacy band now.
Well, Tool's 25 years old.
Yeah, so there you go.
they're definitely a legacy band.
Yep.
Greta Van Fleet, for sure, it was interesting that they were able to break through the way they did. But of course they did because they sounded like Led Zeppelin, and there was sort of that like connection to classic rock. Tribute shows are a natural response to what's happening with like mainstream tastes. If people aren't taking a chance on newer bands, it's just a smart way for local bands to adapt, to generate some interest in their projects. Because hopefully by playing in front of a large group of people and showing that there is talented musicians in the city, they can retain at least a small percentage of that to check out their original projects.
Well, I think at the same time, if they're going out and playing like the Soundgarden set or whatever, because who is it that did Soundgarden? They did a Soundgarden set.
Dizzy Mystics.
Dizzy Mystics, yeah. If you like, I probably wouldn't have gone out. Well, no, I probably would have gone out to see them anyway because of the buzz, because I love music. But if I was the standard fan, I would never have gone to see them because it's like, well, it's just another band, but oh, they're doing a Soundgarden tribute, right? So okay, well, I'm gonna go to the Soundgarden tribute. You listen to them do Soundgarden songs. Like when they played with us, they did Rusty Cage. I think they did something else. I think they might have done a couple, but they did that. I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm paying attention. So after, it's interesting because they worked that into their set. About halfway through the set, they worked that in. And before that, I'm like, yeah, these guys are good. I'd never seen them before. I'd heard of them, but, it was our show, and I was kind of preoccupied selling stuff and whatever, so I was kind of half paying attention. And I'm like, these guys are pretty good. But the minute that they did that song, I kind of stopped what I was doing, looked at the stage, I'm like, oh, okay, you nailed Kim Thale, you nailed Matt Cameron, you nailed Chris Cornell. Okay, now I'm paying attention. So then I'm paying attention. After that song played, I was actually paying attention to their songs more. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing there. Okay, so then actually that was my turning point to liking them, to actually not liking them, but actually getting my attention. So I know there's a lot, like when Dome was playing, we refused to play covers. That was our thing, which is marketing-wise an incredibly dumb move. Because, if you open with a cover, then everyone's attention is just like with the Dizzy Mystics. Like, oh, okay, now I'm paying attention. So if we had done that, I think we could have had, maybe better momentum. But some bands are taking covers out of their sets. I think covers do belong in the sets. Like, I think if you start with a cover, that's how you get their attention and that's how you retain it. So when Dizzy Mystics or any of these bands are doing a show like that, are they still playing original material? Is there still a set in there of original material? Are they working in a couple songs?
No.
None whatsoever.
Yeah. So in Winnipeg, if there's a tribute show, it's purely the covers.
So when the house music's playing between sets, right? Between sets of the bands, wouldn't it be interesting? So at a cover show, at an all tribute show, the songs played between sets are at the actual band's real songs. Flip it on its head. I know that probably marketing-wise doesn't make a lot of sense.
If you do that, then you kind of limit the songs that they can play. Because, well, we just heard that song.
Well, no, but they're not going to play any originals. They're only going to play covers, right? So you play their original songs.
Oh, their original.
In between
Okay, I
the
see
house
what you mean.
music.
I see what you mean. Just kind of reverse it.
I'm just spitballing. It probably wouldn't work, but so does everybody? I know you obviously do. You like the tribute shows, Corey?
Yeah, I've been to a few tribute shows. I mean, it's always nice to kind of hear music that you wouldn't necessarily hear anymore. I like the old ones, like
bands that aren't together anymore.
Yeah. Go see the Beatles. Group of guys, dress up like the Beatles. Trying to bring it back to the original era, 1950s.
Yep. What about you, Todd?
I like them. Like when we went to go see at the zoo, I think it was an Ozzy cover band.
Oh my God!
And they opened for the Headpins, and my God, they were really good.
Yeah,
really good. I enjoyed it. It's nice to get the music. Like when you're listening to a stereo. I mean, nowadays stereos, the hi-fi and surround, everything gets more. The realism just goes up a notch every time they invent new ways of projecting sound. But when you're there live, you actually can feel the thump of the bass drum.
Yeah.
And or the kick and the thump of the bass, and you can really, really feel it. And to hear the original stuff and not being able to go to an actual concert, or actually going to a smaller venue where you get the same idea, but you're not
intimate.
Yeah, it's more intimate. Yeah. It's always nice. It's always better when it's an intimate surrounding, especially like when we used to play with the Classic Embers. Like we'd go to someone's house.
Oh yeah.
And have something in the garage, and everyone's there, and you can even have people come up and play with you or interact with you, which is nicer. When there's too many people, you can't really do that.
Those were my favorite shows. It was Classic Embers was all cover band that we were in. We do 4 sets. Sometimes, some of those private parties do another set.
Yeah,
here's an extra $100 or whatever. There's that one place we played. That's what they're all lacquered up.
Oh yeah,
like do another set. We only have 4 sets. Do another set. Here's an extra $100. But as a cover band too, I think the pay rate is scale. Like when I think as Dome I don't know. I thought the pay was okay. I mean, it doesn't pay any bills, that's for damn sure.
Well,
But-
it was better than coffee.
But it was better than coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
But as a cover band, behind this, we never got paid when we were in the Embers. Like, all the money was reinvested back in the band. But the pay scale was $500 to $600 a show. But that's for 4 sets. The cover band, you know, you might break even or make a little bit of money depending on, like, you guys probably made $1,000 a show.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to somebody yesterday who's in one of the more popular ones in the city, and they're getting like $2,000 a show to do a couple sets of covers.
Oh, doing a couple sets of covers.
Yeah.
Holy,
Nice.
wow.
And so that person is also in an original project
Right.
that I saw last night, and you know their band made maybe $200 for the night for
Yeah.
the door deal versus his $2,000 that he made the weekend before doing covers, which is why I'm pro tribute shows right now. If it's popular, it's just
If it's keeping the venues alive, then yeah, why not?
it's keeping the venues alive. It's giving artists a payday so that they could reinvest it into their original projects.
But I think it's also a way to grow the. Like, do you think it's hurting the original material of the band? Do you think someone's going to go to a tribute show and go, "Who the hell are these guys?" and then look them up, and then all of a sudden their Spotify numbers jump through the roof? Do you think there's a correlation there?
Oh, not jump through the roof, but I think the goal is to retain at least like a small percentage of it. So clever bands will, after they play their set, they'll really work the crowd. They'll get out there, they'll meet and greet, introduce,
And then sell their
sell the original stuff.
yeah.
So I think if you're crafty, you will see that correlation. Just in general, if you're the type of band that just goes, plays their set, and then that's it, just walks away and leaves the venue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that indie bands make.
You almost have to have a big banner of your album cover in the back.
Yeah.
No, you don't say a whole lot. Like, you can talk about it and whatnot, but it'll be there, and they'll see it. And they'll see it all night long. So then when it comes to, you know, they start promoting their own stuff, if people look it up, they go, oh, yeah, I remember, because, I mean, everything's visual.
Yeah,
right?
because you remember something more visually than you would.
Yeah.
Something interesting at the merch table, like build some sort of display. You almost have to think of it in retail terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, making something that catches your eye.
Now, do they have workshops for bands that want to try and promote themselves?
Yeah, through Manitoba
Music.
Music.
Yeah.
We were a member of Manitoba Music, but did we go to any events? No,
I made
no.
that mistake when I first started Manitoba Music. I'm like, I just joined because I thought that was the thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I didn't take advantage of anything. And then I realized it was a lot smarter to work within the system than outside the system.
Well, you said a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think with us, I think there was a bit of, I don't know if it was arrogance, but I think on our side, I think we were very much so, we're going to do this the way we want to do it. We're not going to kiss anyone's butt. But I noticed that right away, the first thing, as soon as we joined, I was getting, because it was on my email address, I was getting emails, hey, there's an open mic. Come out here and play for free.
Right.
And go do an open mic. And we got asked multiple times, and Alex said no every single time, because he's like, no, we're going to do it our way. But he also had extreme stage fright. Our guitar player, extreme stage fright. That first show we played, we almost didn't play. Remember, he was outside the venue in Selkirk, and we had to convince him to go on stage. You remember that?
Vaguely. I was probably pretty, you know, it was our first
Yeah.
thing sitting up there. But then after, I mean, if you look at the first video we did
Yeah.
and the last video we did, it's leaps and bounds different. You could tell that we were way more relaxed
Yeah.
on stage. But
I have to say, I think my favorite person to ever see on stage was Alex, our guitar player. I just, half the time, I'm like looking at him and say, oh shit, I'm doing a show.
when I watch the videos, I can look at him and you see him
Yeah.
moving around and he's just getting right into it.
Yeah.
It's
that was
awesome.
good.
Awesome
And that
to
was
watch.
actually, that was Alex. Alex had never played on a stage before. Dome was his first band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it.
On another note, just side note, the guys that I jam with now, actually the guitar player, Dan, he's never been in front of
Yeah, you were telling me.
in front of
Yeah.
anybody. And actually we're playing today.
What? Where?
3 songs. Oh, just Otto and Sargent here. Just to get his feet wet. He doesn't want to advertise it. He just wants to just some
Well,
stage.
you just did.
Well,
But this won't be live.
This will be
isn't-
after the fact. But
Dan, I hope you did a good job. I'm sure you did fine.
We'll get someone to shoot.
Good
some
job,
video.
Dan.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Um,
So I got a question. So when it comes to tribute bands, how important is it to try to deliver the feel of the band that you're, I guess, the music that you're promoting, that you're performing?
like, do you have to look like?
Do you have to look
Do you
like
want
the
to
band?
look, sound,
Try to
feel?
recreate their old, kind of, set
Yeah.
stage and
Oh, that's a good question. What do you think, Ryan?
It is a good question. I think it varies from band to band. Those are all the questions that we ask ourselves now that I'm putting
Yeah.
this type of band together. Should we do it in costume? Should we play their actual set list, or should we play their hits? I think it varies on a case by case basis. Like if your band happens to look close to like the band in your like similar age group and just the DNA of your bands are similar, then yeah, I love bands that go all in and try to like recreate it like as close as possible. But if that's not a possibility, it's always safe just to go with the hits.
Yeah.
Just try to recreate sonically is the most important thing, and then all the other things are just added bonuses.
depends on the band too.
Do you remember? It depends on the band too. Yeah, like
Danny, our cousin,
Yeah.
they just had a tribute show.
yes,
And it was a Kiss tribute show.
that was a big crowd too.
And,
They
yeah.
played Fredericton. They flew Danny out to Fredericton
Yeah,
to
and
go
they're
play a show.
full garb, like the whole thing. You'd think you were at the actual concert.
Well, they actually have sponsors now, right?
Nice.
So what the sponsors does, because originally they were a Kiss cover band, they put the makeup on. I think they wore suits to emulate the third Kiss album, right? But people saw them and saw how good they were. So then sponsors came and said, "What if we give you money to make the costumes exactly the same?" So now they have a full light show. Everyone has the full costumes. They also Danny does Gene Simmons, so he does the fire. He had to teach himself how to shoot fire.
Just scared the crap out of our aunt.
Oh my God, his mom? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
But
video of
don't-
him, doing the whole fire thing. His mom saw it. Yeah, she must have flipped.
Oh,
I think with Kiss in particular, there'll be a very high expectation.
Yes.
For what that entire show would look like.
Yes.
Like,
so that's
certainly.
a lot of that's a visual show.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're very prominent visually. But
Yeah.
any other band that you're trying to do the tribute to, I guess it kind of depends. Because when the '90s bands that came out, the grunge, everyone was just wearing jeans and torn shirts and whatnot, and they all kind of looked the same.
Doc Martens.
Yeah, they all kind of looked the same. But mind you, in the '80s, everyone had big hair, and everyone looked the same there
Yeah.
too. So just each era, they've kind of just changed the look.
So visually, let's go back to that. What the hell was that Ozzy cover band that we saw? Do you remember what they're called? Because here's what they did visually that was very, very interesting. Because it was Ozzy tribute, but they started with Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And he looked like Ozzy Black Sabbath era, right? With the dark brown hair, long dark brown hair, and kind of the clothes they were wearing. They were more metal. And then they went into the Blizzard of Oz timeline of Ozzy, and then suddenly had. Did he have different hair at that point in the set?
Well-
I'm trying to remember.
well-
But he basically the singer, because it was an Ozzy tribute band.
Yeah.
The rest of the band didn't really look like anybody in particular, but the front man transitioned from one era to the next to the point that they did the.
I think it's so hot he took his wig off. He was bald.
Well, at the end, he took his wig off. He was a bald guy, so he had different wigs transition. But
Yeah.
was it the Ultimate Sin? I don't know how familiar you are with Ozzy. He had the Ultimate Sin era where he looked like Bette Midler or something. He was wearing all sequins, and he looked god awful. So he actually, he went from the straight black hair to the Ozzy area where it was kind of blonde, like the early era, and then he went into the Ultimate Sin area where he had the super curly, the 80s hair with wearing a robe.
Like Dio.
Yeah.
The sparkly.
Yeah, and then at the final end when they were doing then he did the straight black hair, the No More Tears era, and then in the end he just took the wig off, and that was probably the best tribute band I've ever seen.
Yeah, it
Was
really
that
good.
Osborne with a Z? 'Cause that's
Maybe.
the popular Ozzy tribute to
It
the
might have
singer
been.
now. Yeah.
normally tribute bands go by a name of the song that they've done.
Yeah.
So they could
Blizzard of Oz,
He could have
for
called
example,
it.
or-
Yeah, he could have called it that or something. I can't remember the
Did you
name.
know Ozzy's band, when he went solo, was actually supposed to be called Blizzard of Oz? It wasn't supposed to be called Ozzy Osborne.
Oh.
It wasn't supposed to be a solo project, but then Sharon got involved, and then they flipped it, and then the band was pissed, and then he fired the whole band, except for Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads was the original, but the drummer and bass player was not. It was not them. They played on the album, and then they brought in a couple other guys.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm the trivia guy. What's your take on Ozzy Osbourne?
Oh, I'm a huge classic rock fan. I mean, Ozzy was one of my first musical loves. Love Black Sabbath. I mean, I think those records are genius. Yeah, just massive fan. I've caught Ozzy play every time he's in town. So I've seen
Really?
maybe-
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I've seen maybe 4 or 5 times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that was an appropriate topic. How about that? I think that's a good cap off for the first hour. You good to stick around for another
Yeah, absolutely.
another one?
Okay.
We'll do coffee. We'll do pee
Yeah.
breaks.
All right.
Hey, we'll see you guys on the flip side for the part 2.